welcome on into another episode of Two Fat Drunks. I'm JDV.
Dennis Barger.
King D is what we call him, though. You might know him from his channel over there, Wonder World Comics, and
I'm Warpig.
Today's episode is all about 1976's scariest movie, The Omen.
The Omen. The Omen. Even the name, The Omen. You're like, wow. These
The
films
Omen.
And more. Much more.
Just pretty much The Omen in the remake. Coming up next,
I'm Two Fat Drunks.
The Omen.
And one sober guy.
Okay, thanks King D for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
You're doing good there.
Yeah, check out his channel, Wonder World Comics. It's got all kinds of stuff on how to collect comics and make money and stuff.
And toys.
Quick.
And toys. Okay, so for some reason we got it into our minds to do an episode about 1976's The Omen.
The Omen with
The surprise hit.
Yeah, big hit actually.
Who
Omen.
directed that? Is it Richard Donner?
Good question.
I bet you
if
5
it's
cents.
Richard
I think it's
Donner,
Richard Donner,
dude,
yeah.
I'll hand you $1, bro. Who directed The Omen, dude?
I'm gonna say Richard Donner, man.
Who did it?
Come on.
Come on, dude. Show me the director. Oh my God.
Oh, so much for your vaunted cell phone.
Well, it just didn't just come right out and say it.
Your phone the wrong.
Richard Donner.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Yeah,
man.
good one.
I gotta give it to you,
so
man.
Richard Donner did this before he did Superman.
Yep.
Not only was it a big movie at the time, but I believe it's still scary.
It's a scary
There
film.
is a scene in that film involving an opening of a grave. And don't say any more than that.
Yeah,
they open a grave in that movie, and it is devastating.
It's
Yeah.
creepy. It's
It
creepy,
really
dude.
is.
Oh, and I mean
it's
the music.
scary.
Who did the score for that? Who did the score?
Well,
Good one,
I'm going to have to
man.
throw my bones again and say
Ooh.
Jerry Goldsmith.
Let's hear it.
Really?
And the
Back
music
then?
by Jerry Goldsmith. Good score, not overwhelming for sure. But
No,
scary enough to
when they
scare
want to
your
bring
balls
those,
off.
when they want to bring those scenes up, man, it just starts coming up and coming up
Right.
and coming up till it reaches a fever pitch, and then you get the reveal. It hangs for a few more minutes, and then it's bam.
So
it's
it has good production value. That's
yeah,
part
for
of it.
sure.
It's-
It's Hollywood
you know,
production, man.
films shot in the 70s, particularly the mid-70s, that was a time when the film stocks were changing,
Yeah.
cameras were getting lighter. Like, there's a big difference between the photography that you'll see in a very low-budget movie like Halloween in 1978, 79,
Right.
whenever they shot that by Dean Cundy, and movies shot in 1973,
Sure.
72. The film stocks did get better.
Right.
A lot of what we think of
This
kind
modern
of
look
the
that's
80s
sort of
comes from
Right,
the
but
late
you know
70s.
what?
But The Omen is...
It's a mix. It's a really
So
good
it
mix.
is a good
Because there's shots in there that are straight up dolly shots that they used for 50 years, but then there's scenes where you're watching a handheld camera following
right.
through the cemetery or following through.
Yeah, Donner lets
because
the movie happen at the pace it needs to happen.
The Omen visually looks like Superman.
Yeah.
They're the same look. If you think about how
It's still
sort
a
of
little
fuzz-
grainier.
It's fuzzed out, right? It's
Because
got a real
they do a lot of
soft
shooting
appearance.
at night in open, so the lighting is a little off in anything that's outside and dark.
but
the
it's
soundstage
intentionally
stuff-
sort of
the soundstage stuff is
yeah.
all
So
right out of Superman.
It's a good-looking, good-sounding movie, and it's got a crazy story about essentially the Antichrist, how the Antichrist comes to be on planet Earth.
right with
And
in the form of a
And
child.
so that I think that's good Lord. I think that
Lord.
is an interesting story even in today. I mean, people still think about it or talk about it, I guess. And
wouldn't they?
but it's really the cast. I'm Gregory Peck.
To have
And
Gregory Peck in
maybe
the film.
his best movie, even
Well.
better than Guns of Navarone, just because he's playing that. He's Gregory Pecking the shit out of that role.
And there's not a second where
And
you
yet-
don't believe he's an ambassador.
Well,
it's not
Gregory
much
Peck.
for
gives
him
the
to
movie
do, though.
the gravitas
Yes.
of the film. It's kind
Sure.
of like when you have John Wayne being a western. Well, it only makes it more of a western because John Wayne's in it.
Right.
He
Well,
does
you have
give
Kurt
it.
Russell
He gives
in a
it
western,
weight,
something
dude.
like that.
In a
Right.
way that his co-star, arguably a better actor. I don't know, David Warner.
Right.
David Warner is a better
And
actor.
you see what I'm saying? But you had to at least stop for a
But
second.
see,
and go,
is David Warner
Gregory
really
Peck?
David Warner at that period of time?
Not yet, but he's about.
See, what I'm saying is...
But he was starting
just
his career.
Right,
No,
he was
you're right.
starting his career, But he played kind of that hippie. He was kind of that untrustworthy hippie,
'cause
which in Hollywood, they wouldn't have trusted him to open that movie.
He played the same look, this exact same look in Time After Time.
Yes,
He looks
With-
very much-
he looks like that. Yeah,
Right.
it's kind of wild that he brought the old
Time
look
After
with him.
Time is a fantastic film.
Yeah.
Dude, we had to do a whole episode on Time After Time.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good film.
And okay, so it has a great cast: Lee Remick, Gregory Peck, who is perfectly cast in it, one of
Yep.
the best performances.
And the
David
nanny,
Warner.
the nanny,
The nanny.
we just found this out.
was
played by
Holly Palance.
Jack
Jack
Palance's
Palance's
daughter.
daughter.
Did you ever wonder, if for those of you who've seen it, why the nanny looks evil? It's Jack Palance's daughter.
in her DNA.
Your nanny was Voltan. For Christ's sake, would you let Voltan watch your kids?
You will die by my hand.
Let the secret die.
So, okay, so why are we talking about Omen now? It is one of the better. The 1970s is a great decade for horror movies, all the way from Exorcist to Alien.
Right.
Halloween, Friday the 13th. You might have heard of those.
Just
tiny
incredible
little franchises.
time for horror.
Yeah,
But this still predates those. This is the.
it doesn't predate Exorcist. Exorcist
No,
is 73.
yeah.
Which
Right,
has
yeah.
a very 70s film stock, very 70s
Yes.
look.
Actually, compared to the Omen,
the Omen's-
very much garish
There's only
colors.
3 years,
very,
2 to 3 years between production and release on those two movies.
doesn't lower the impact, but you definitely a
No,
different
just
film
as a
stock.
side note, it's interesting to watch.
That
It'll be a
progression.
little friendlier, I think, to modern eyes because it feels more like an 80s film.
Right.
Yeah.
But what is, to me, it's the
Well, here's the problem. Here's the
that
problem.
it's taken the supernatural, the actual devil,
Yeah.
a story from the Bible, and making it as serious and realistic as humanly possible.
But
and
that's-
it is like even the remake with Liv Schreiber is good just because the story. And he's really good in that movie, but the story itself is so.
But that's
freaky,
why.
man.
That's why this movie is still timeless and still is effective because the source material is effective. It was a boogeyman story to scare you 2,000 years ago, however long ago, and now all of a
Boogeyman.
sudden, huh?
True story.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a boogeyman story. Be scared of this thing that's going to come, and then all of a sudden you can now actually see it coming, and you're like, oh shit, that could happen.
What's good about it is like if you're like a Christian of any kind,
Oh yeah,
it's
It's
very
confirmational.
effective. And even if you're not, you're gonna be like, I hope that's not true. I hope they're wrong about that part.
There's not one parent that hasn't dug through their child's scalp just to make sure.
And so they started churning out the sequels. I can't even remember Omen 2, to be honest.
Oh yeah, it's Lance Henriksen, Military Academy.
That's right.
It's the brother of Gregory
Yes.
Peck
Oh my
who
God.
adopts him.
Just
That was on
awful.
Showtime for.
I think
Yeah,
it's,
he was
changed
like a cadet
They
and
changed
shit,
the dogs.
yeah.
They changed the dogs from Rottweilers
To
in the
poodles.
first, to Dobermans in the second one.
Okay, is that
Yeah.
where we get the Dobermans? Okay.
Yep. And then he has those Dobermans in the third one as his.
But
As
it's
his
the third-
personal servants.
But it's the third one. What we're talking about earlier about movies and series.
1, 2,
Why is the
3s.
third movie a lot of the times better than the second film? It's not always true.
But
it
there
is
are
true a
cases
lot.
of that where it
And
just
the
goes
Omen-
boom, boom, boom.
The Omen and The Exorcist are two great examples of films from the 70s, early 80s that the second one is
Right.
The third one's
Yeah,
like
though,
pretty
abysmal.
good.
Here,
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Here's what I think.
Tell me
But
what
don't
you
take
think.
that, big
I
guy.
think there's a point in the studio system where they say, suck the money out and just get us a sequel. And that's when the quality drops. But then,
Fuck.
by the time people who
Hilarious.
grew up loving the original start making their way through Hollywood, they get to that period where they can start picking the piece they want to do. And I don't know who the director was for 3, but I
It's
put
William Peter
money...
Blatty. Of what?
Exorcist
Omen
3 or
3.
Omen 3?
Omen 3.
Omen 3.
I don't know.
It's Sam Neill's first big movie.
Yeah.
Dude, it's what everybody remembers.
Omen, watch Omen 3. I think the remake of the Omen is pretty good. If you want to see the most up-to-date version.
I haven't
of it.
seen it yet. I haven't
Nah,
seen
you
it
know,
yet.
honestly, I've
There
seen
is an
it.
Omen 4 in the original.
But
Yeah.
Terrible.
We
No,
don't-
I remember.
Was that direct to HBO?
Talk about that.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it got.
That was
theatrical
direct
release.
shit, is what it was.
Yeah.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed this really short video on The Omen, 1976 Richard Donner horror classic. If you want to keep seeing this kind of crap, like, subscribe, share, love each other, and until next time.
Go to church, repent.
Go to church, repent.
You're all gonna die in lakes of blood. Lakes of fire will consume your soul. Damnation forever.
And throughout the land there will be a great rubbing of pods.
You think about that.
Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.